Hi, Patrick here, have Cheetah Will View, and welcome to Dollar Tree Theater. So, Dollar Tree Theater is an ongoing film review series and where we find movies that are under 25 in our collections and we talk about them. Uh, they can come from the Dollar Tree, they can come from big lots, yard sales, in my case, the library, in my case, from a friend, a gift from a friend. So anywhere where you get a movie for under $1.25 qualifies for Dollar Tree Theater. All right, so the movie we're going to be talking about today, I actually am a little surprised. I did not expect to be talking about this movie today. I actually thought there would be another movie, but I had put out three '70s movies and DC Cab along with the Cheetah's Choice, and lo and behold, I only had 12 votes for this week for this week's winner. 12 weeks total. We had six people vote for this movie here that we're going to be talking about. And while it wasn't the movie I expected to win, looking back at it, I'm sort of glad it did win because it's a lot of fun. I had not seen this movie probably since close to damn near 40 years. I had completely forgotten about it, how fun it was, and everything else. And so when I put it out there, I said, when I was watching it for this review, I was pleasantly surprised to see how much I remembered it and really did like it. And we are talking about 1983's DC Cab. Now, I'm showing this version like this is because this came from my friend Catfish, and he did not have any containers for his movie, so they always came in a binder. So DC Cab, like I said, is a 1983 film that was directed by Joel Schumacher, and he also wrote the screenplay. It stars a wide array of talent. Holy cow! This is like a who's who in here in this film as far as the cast go. Max Gail, Mr. T, Adam Baldwin, Gary Busey, Marsha Warfield, Bill Maher was in here, Paul Rodriguez, Whitman Mayo, the Barbarian Brothers. It's just a ton of people. In fact, I was actually sort of surprised to see who was actually in this movie. I was like not expecting to see Bill Maher there, but there he was. Before he became a political pundit. So this movie came out, and by this time, Mr. T was just starting to rise because I do believe Rocky 3 came out in 1982. So this was when Mr. T was just starting to get a break for his time, and so I remember this movie being featuring Mr. T. They featured him more than anybody else because he was the most popular character at that time, and he got a good role here. He basically is playing B.A. Baracus all over again, but it's a fun role, and he's very comfortable in his skin. The movie is just basically a bunch of oddballs working for a rundown cab company in Washington D.C. They have all the they're all the stereotypes. The poor, the broken, the crazy, the womanizer, the smart guy, the crazy nut job. They're all oddballs. Looking back at it, you should look at them and say stereotypes, but that's what makes these movies work, right? So you got to have a really assortment of diverse of craziness, and we get that. And so they all drive for this guy named Harold, and of course their company is operated on like on a 10-cent budget, and they can't compete with the bigger company, and they're also facing off against the man in DC who controls their licenses and whatnot. So you get the whole idea. It's the underdogs against everybody else. Um, and then we see that Harold's brother has passed away, and his son, Harold's nephew, um, Albert Hockenberry, not Tackleberry. I know. I wanted to say Tackleberry so many times, but it's actually Hockenberry. He comes up from Georgia, and he's played by Adam Baldwin. And Adam Baldwin wants to come up there and work for his uncle Harold and become a cab driver. That's what he aspires to be. He wants to be a hack, and everybody else thinks that he's crazy. but he does. He wants to be a cab driver. So we get introduced to a lot of the oddballs because Albert rides along with them, and he discovers a lot of things. He discovers that Tyrone, that while on the surface seems to be shucking and jiving, he's actually a very intelligent man. We see that Mr. T. Sampson is, he's rough and he's tough, but he's got a heart of gold. We see Marsha Warfield, and she's driving a cab, and she keeps getting robbed. She keeps getting robbed by the same guy wearing a mask. She's getting very frustrated because she can't make any money. And of course, she's elegant, and she really is in this movie. Holy crow. Marsha Warfield was really good. And everybody, and Paul Rodriguez is playing the womanizer. Gary Busey is playing Gary Busey, which means he's crazy. So you get the idea. And, Albert goes around the different cabbies, and he learns a little bit about them. And him and Tyrone they actually clash really hard, and then they become friends, and they both respect each other. But things are really tough. Things are really tough, and the cab company's on its way out. But then one of the passengers leaves behind a $500,000 violin. So they find it. It's in one of the DC cab guys, and they're gonna use the reward to spruce up the place. Harold says, we could take the money, split it among ourselves, or we could put it all back together, and do something with it. And but then his wife Myrna steals the money. She steals it, so everything's looking really bad. And then Albert rallies them around, sitting there saying, "Listen, I don't have $10,000, but I got over $6,000, and I'm willing to donate it all to help the company up." I don't know about you, but $6,000 went a hell of a long way back in 1983. Because on $6,000, we see all the cabs get all pimped out. It looks like a Pimp My Ride set up court in the DC cab headquarters. The building gets all freshened up, painted. Everything gets all put together. They get brand new flashy jackets. I'm going, man, $6,000 for all that? Why the hell didn't you do that sooner? So that was the first. That was the first plot. Was trying to recover the violin, and then the second one has to do with a kidnapping. I know a lot of story for a minute for an hour and 40-minute movie, but Albert and two kids, rich kids, they get kidnapped. And initially, it looks like maybe Albert was in on the gang, with the gang because he had a lot of money. He suddenly came into a lot of money. Again, $6,000, a lot of money. So the cops suspect him for the FBI suspect Albert being part of the kidnap ring. Initially, at first, the DC cab guys do too, but then Tyrone speaks up for his friend, and so does Mr. T, and says, we got to help him. We know that he's not a crook, he's a good guy. So let's go rally and go help him. So they do. And after a frantic chase during the night, they finally rescue Albert and the two kids and catch the kidnappers. And everybody ends up getting a parade thrown for their honor at the end. Okay, so that's DC Cab. But like I said, it's a fun movie. It really is. It's actually this is gonna seem like blasphemy, but rewatching this movie, I gotta tell you, I would have to put this right up there with Police Academy as far as the 80s like slapstick comedies like this, an ensemble comedy, bunch of people coming together for a common cause. I have to put this right up there with that. It was really, really fun. Everybody got a lot of screen time. They did what they did the best with what they got. The music is thumping. Even in a cameo appearance by Irene Cara as herself. There's even the 80s gratuitous nudity. So that's right. We do see some nudity in this movie. So got to be the 80s. So overall, I really enjoyed this quite a bit. I thought it was a lot of fun, and glad that it got picked, because I don't know when's the next time I would have saw it. As far as the cast goes, too, I gotta say, of all the people in the movie, the one that really got me the most was Max Gail as Harold. I actually thought he stole the movie. Um, it's almost like he's in a different movie because a lot of it has to do with a lot of yelling, screaming, you know, it's just that's the typical of the movie. Nobody knew how to speak in a speaking voice. Everybody else is frantic and excited and yelling and everything else. Um, and then his character Harold just seemed in a different movie. He was very gentle, and compassionate, and calm, and it works. It absolutely works. He's the one voice that you listen to for the whole movie, while everybody else is running around like a chicken with their head cut off. Harold's the one that's the constant, and so I thought this was a really interesting role for Max Gail, and he really pulled it off well. I think he gets underrated a lot of times. People don't really remember how good he really was. But if you do, if you're in a mind to go see how good Max Gail really is, by all means, I recommend watching Barney Miller. That's where he got his claim to fame at. All right. So the movie made on an $8 million budget. The movie made $16 million, and it was very, very popular in cable. Wow, when this thing hit cable, it was, man, you could not turn on the TV without hearing it, or seeing it, or hearing the soundtrack, or anything else like that. So it was very a successful movie in that regards. Um, don't really know how I don't know really how other people feel about if it holds up today or not, but I liked it. All right, so that's DC Cab. So next week's movies, let me tell you what's going on with that real quick. I think can already tell you the movie we're going to be watching next week, and I will tell you that, and that is going to be the remake of The Crazies. That's right. This is what you guys voted for. Voted for me and the Cheetah to watch next week, and of course it does fit us because we are sort of crazy. So this is what we're gonna be watching. And the second place movie, believe it or not, for a minute there, and it held first place for a little bit. But the second place movie that we're gonna take with us, Never Cry Werewolf with Kevin Sorbo. Yeah, that's what you guys picked. So Ebola Rex, The Unborn, and Splice did not go any further than this. We'll bring them up again in another time. But for next week's movie, uh, the next review we do for Dollar Tree Theater, it will be The Crazies. All right. Well, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit the sub button, hit the notification bell, and drop a comment down below. If you've seen DC Cab, drop your thoughts on that too. All right. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.